So the 2024 NBA regular season is over, and we know what the 2023 rookies ended up doing this season. So today we're going to put every rookie from this past season. It could have been like a Chet Holmgren. It could have been an undrafted rookie like a Craig Porter Jr. And we're going to put them into a tier list. So we have a bunch of different tiers that we're going to throw these pool of rookies in. I'm not going to throw every rookie into here. Most second round picks that played meaningful minutes will be ranked in here. And obviously so much can change after their rookie year. But just off the season alone, we're going to throw them into these tiers. So if you guys do enjoy this style of content, feel free to drop a thumbs up. Let me know what you agree with or disagree with in the comments below. And first up, we got Anthony Black, who had an inconsistent, I think, playing time-wise rookie season. Obviously, the Magic had a lot of guards with Gary Harris, Jalen Suggs, Cole Anthony, Markelle Fultz. Some of those guys broke out like a Jalen Suggs. Some of those guys kind of fell off a little bit like a Markelle Fultz. And I think Anthony Black is going to be a really good defender in this league. I think the shot is actually going to come around. I don't know if he's ever going to be an all-star in this league, but definitely has a bright future as a playmaking. Maybe it's a wing, maybe it's a one, but he can play make a little bit and he can play some pretty solid defense. But I think if he has a more consistent jumper, he could be more of like a wing than rather a one, because there are some maybe playmaking limitations, but good defense, good outside shot. He's got a bright future in this league. Grady Dick, I think, had like a pretty rough start to his rookie year. I mean, the defense is abysmal, so that's why I think I'm going to throw him in the could be better, could be worse tier, because he's an elite shooter, don't get me wrong, but he was not good at all on the defensive end of the floor. I'll give him a benefit of the doubt because the Raptors were not a good team this year. They were clearly tanking at the end of the year because they want to get their first round pick, which is top 6 protected. But I think Grady Dick was a fine rookie, don't get me wrong. The reason why I have like Black and maybe bright future and Dick and could be better, could be worse is because I value the long-term defense over Black, and I think that could make him a little bit more consistent in the later part of his career. And Dick, I think, could be a fine player throughout the course of his career as a shooter and a complimentary piece, but he's got to improve on that defense. I don't think it should be like can only go up from here tier. Kobe Buffkin, yeah, can probably go up from here. It could be a lot better. I thought he was going to have a little bit more run time this year because we did see an injury to Trae Young, but I feel like Quinn Snyder did not like playing him out there with DeJounte Murray, and I wish he gave him a little bit more opportunity because I think Black, if he had the confidence and that mindset that he was going to consistently play, he could be a nice playmaker or just a combo guard for this team, because I liked him a ton coming out of Michigan. He was one of my favorite prospects in the 2023 draft, so it's a disappointing rookie season to say the least. Next up, we have Toumani Camara, who's a second round pick out of Dayton to the Phoenix Suns, and then was in the Yusuf Nurkic, DeAndre Ayton trade. He definitely exceeded expectations. I know that this Blazers team was not good whatsoever, so we got a little bit more playing time than maybe he thought he was going to get going into this year, but he is a good defender and he could be a nice rotational piece going forward. I don't think he has high as a ceiling as like an Anthony Black, and I still like Grady Dick and Kobe Buffkin long term, so I'm not saying that this tier means you're overall better throughout the course of your career, but Camara definitely exceeded expectations, should get some all-rookie second team love. For Noah Clowney, he didn't play too much and obviously played a little bit more towards the end of the season and showed some nice traits for sure, and I think it's like Kobe Buffkin. We could see the potential in him as a solid rotational piece, but we got to see more playing time and more opportunity going forward. It can't just be those final 2 weeks in April where it's just you see all these different rotations because of injuries and teams that are either in the playoff hunt and already like maybe clinched their spot like the Boston Celtics, or a team that was just completely out of it like the Raptors or the Nets that were just playing some more of their young guys. So I think Clowney had a fine rookie season. It can only go up from here. I don't know. I think if I'm going to put Buffkin, it could be better, could be worse. I'm going to put Clowney in there for sure. Jaime Jaquez, okay, so Jaime Jaquez is a weird prospect. So he was a little bit older coming out of UCLA, came out of the gate right away and looked like he was a for sure all-rookie first-team guy, and I think he will still be all-rookie first team, but the difference between Black and Jaquez is a couple years older, and I think we're closer to Jaquez's ceiling than we are with Anthony Black's, so I don't think that Jaquez is ever going to be an all-star. I don't think he's going to be that much better than what we saw from him this year. Can he improve? Yes. Will he improve? Probably, but I don't think he's going to be an all-star one day. I think he could just be a nice rotational scorer, and I do think he exceeded expectations, but I also still think he has a bright future as a good rotational piece of this league, and being an outside of the lottery pick as well, that's great. So yeah, I'm going to throw Jaime Jaquez in the bright future. Next up, we have Chet Holmgren. Chet. I don't think Chet's ever going to win an MVP. Like, there's guys like, hey, if Luka Doncic doesn't win one this year, he could maybe never win an MVP. Jason Tatum may never win an MVP. Like, there's guys that throughout the course of their careers, like Kobe only won one MVP. It's very tough to win that award. It really is. So I don't think Chet's ever going to win that award because I don't even know if he's ever going to be the best player on his team, playing alongside Shai Gilgeous-Alexander and what J-Dub is doing over there as well. But he's for sure a future All-Star. He had some love for that this year in his rookie season, and he is going to be a future All-Star in this league for sure because of the two-way play. Elite defender, can space the floor, also super durable this year. I think that was a big thing coming into Gonzaga. I mean, he did get hurt all of his actual rookie season, but he played all 82 games this year, so shout out to Chet. Cam Whitmore, man, he's got a bright future. I don't know if he's ever going to be an all-star. I think it could happen, but he definitely needs to work on that playmaking ability. But he could for sure be a 3-level scorer in this league. I would like to see more playing time for Cam Whitmore next year, and for some reason he went as late as he did in the first round. I thought he was going to be a top 10 pick, and then he was the big faller on draft night because of the medicals, but he was just fine in his rookie year, and it looks like a fantastic outside the lottery pick for Houston going forward. Brandin Podziemski, he exceeded expectations, not Scoot Henderson, but Brandin Podziemski exceeded expectations for sure, but I do think he has a bright future as a good combo guard in this league that can rebound, play some defense, knock down some threes off the bench, or even start for sure. And I think he's a little bit closer to like Jaquez with his ceiling right now, and I think long-term, Anthony Black and Cam Whitmore have a much higher ceiling, but Podziemski is a really good player. I don't think he'll ever make an all-star game. I think he had some expectations going in. You could put him in exceeded expectations, but he definitely has a bright future for sure. GG Jackson exceeded expectations. He also has a bright future as well, but nobody expected him to pretty much do anything in his rookie year, including me. Coming into South Carolina, he was one of the more raw prospects in the draft. I thought he should have stayed another year at college, or he was just going to spend so much time in the G League this year. But with all the injuries to Memphis, he was able to get an opportunity that nobody really expected from his rookie year. So he showed some nice scoring, some nice outside shot from his rookie season. So yeah, GG Jackson definitely exceeded expectations. Probably similar to like Cam Whitmore with the bright future as well. Scoot Henderson, I still think is a future All-Star. I know. Scoot was rough throughout the first 70% of his rookie season, but he was in a horrible environment. I didn't like the way Chauncey Billups handled his development in his rookie season, but over the last 15 games of the year, Scoot was putting up 20 and 10, shooting 40+% from 3 on 6 attempts a night, was playing good defense, and I still see the All-Star in Scoot. He was my second-ranked player in the 2023 draft class, and I still think he will be an All-Star one day. I'm not going to say that's not going to happen after a poor rookie season, and that's something we see from guards. Guards are usually, like these lead point guards, are inefficient in their rookie seasons. Like, look back at De'Aaron Fox's rookie year. Scoot will be just fine. Jordan Hawkins, I think could be better, could be worse. I don't think he exceeded expectations by any means. The shot was inconsistent at times, and he was a little bit more NBA ready than some of these other lottery picks, like way more NBA ready than Grady Dick was. But I think he's going to have some big time shot making in his future. I like the 3-and-D potential. I think there were some inconsistencies at the time. I don't know how high his ceiling is. Like, I like Jaquez and I like Podziemski long term, but I do think there was some inconsistencies where he's going to fall into this tier with Grady Dick. I mean, Craig Porter Jr., undrafted, like what he did with the injuries to Darius Garland, even if he's a serviceable point guard in this league off the bench, he exceeded expectations. Amen Thompson. I think Amen Thompson can make an All-Star game one day. I do. The ball handling ability, the defensive potential. He's got all defensive first team potential, potentially even next year, because he can guard any position on the floor. He's one of the most athletic players that I'm going to talk about in this video, and I think he has a higher ceiling and a better All-Star chance than these guys in the bright future, or even GG Jackson in the exceeded expectations. His brother, Asor Thompson, I think I like a little bit less. I liked Asor coming out of the overtime elite a little bit more, but I'm starting to like Amen and his athleticism and defensive potential more than Asor's, but Asor is great on that end of the floor. Their jump shots are not pretty. They both need to work on them, but I may talk myself into Asor Thompson making an All-Star game one day because of the defensive potential, but he needs to work on that outside shot. So you know what? Maybe I'm gonna drop. No, I still like Amen to make an All-Star game one day. But it's funny because like Amen was looked at as like a point guard coming out of the overtime elite, but he could be more of a wing going forward. Someone who likes Stephon Castle this year. Dariq Whitehead, you can only go up from here. He was hurt this season. It was kind of a shame because he would have got some good run time with how bad this Nets team was towards the end of the year. Cason Wallace, bright future in this league as a defender, man. I don't know if he's ever gonna have like the peak of like an Amen or a Sword Thompson defense wise, but he is going to be a very good 3D player in this league. I don't know about an All-Star, but a very good player nonetheless. Marcus Sasser, I think exceeded expectations as well. I mean, a horrible environment in Detroit, a little bit older coming out of Houston, so he was more NBA ready than a Sword Thompson, but could be a nice rotational playmaking guard off the bench that could also knock down a 3 or 2. Bryce Sensabaugh can only go up from here. Played very well in the G League when he was down there for Utah this season. Played well down the stretch when he got some ample playing time, so it can go up from here. I think Taylor Hendricks has a bright future in this league. Towards the end of the year when he was playing a little bit more, he was knocking down his threes. He was showing some great rim protecting ability, and he can space the floor for this Jazz team, which is going to be so much fun to watch. The Lowry Markkanen and Taylor Hendricks lineups next year are going to be fun. Hopefully Walker Kessler bounce back and you can throw him into the mold. It's going to be fun for Hendricks going forward, and I think it's same with Keontae George, who has a bright future in this league. He does need to work on the efficiency a little bit, but was asked to do a lot more than he probably expected going into the year. You could throw him in the exceeded expectations tier, but I think he also has a very bright future in this league. I feel like GG Jackson also does as well, so I'm going to throw him up there. He did exceed expectations as well. For Ben Shepherd, it can only go up from here. Didn't get a ton of playing time this year for Indiana. I mean, Rick Carlisle did not do a great job with their first round picks. We'll get into another one in a little bit, but he was just kind of inconsistent when he was in the lineup. He had some good games. He had some bad games. I'm more excited for year 2, but he's a little bit older than some of these other guys, so I'm a little bit more concerned on how he's going to be in this Pacers rotation going forward, especially if they add pieces in the offseason and you got Mathurin coming back as well. I mean, Dereck Lively definitely exceeded expectations. He could maybe be an all-star one day, but I'm going to throw him in the bright future tier. I mean, he was asked to do so much right away. He was playing like 40 minutes a night as the starting center spot. Then getting Daniel Gafford obviously diminished his opportunity in production a little bit, but that was probably a good thing. They were going to overuse Dereck Lively in his age 19 rookie season, but he had a phenomenal year and looks like a nice cornerstone center spot for the Mavericks long term. Jet Howard can only go up from here. I did not like the pick originally. They needed some shooting and they drafted him for the shooting ability out of Michigan, but they didn't really use him this year. I assume he's going to have a much more expanded role next year. But hey, if they use that cap space on a Klay Thompson, a Buddy Hield, a Malik Monk, that's going to take minutes out of Jet Howard in the rotation. So I'm a little scared about his future in Orlando. Man, Andre Jackson played pretty good defensive minutes when he was out there for Milwaukee, but Doc Rivers just didn't really like him. I honestly think he exceeded expectations. If you're a second round pick and you showed the defensive potential he did this year for Milwaukee, you're going to be in that tier for me. I just wish Doc played him a little bit more, even going back to Adrian Griffin as the head coach. Bilal Coulibaly, ooh man, I don't know if Bilal is ever going to be an all-star in this league, but he was so young and so raw as a prospect coming over to a not great environment in Washington this season. I don't know if he's ever going to be an all-star, but I do think he has a bright future in this league, showing great potential in his rookie season. Obviously, these guys all have exciting futures in this league, and this was a pretty solid rookie class going back on it, and obviously we're talking about how maybe not as good as the 2024 draft class is going to be. Trayce Jackson-Davis, I mean, you were one of the last picks in the whole draft. End of a second-round pick, and you provided great minutes for Golden State as a big man this year. Good rebounder, good inside scorer, good pick-and-roll player. Trayce Jackson-Davis looks like a phenomenal selection for Golden State going forward. I mean, they hit it out of the park with this draft with Podziemski and Trayce Jackson-Davis, two key rotational pieces for them. For Nick Smith Jr., I think it's pretty much could be better, could be worse. Did not get a lot of playing time throughout the year. Saw a little bit more once they moved on from Terry Rozier, and we saw him towards the end of the season. I hope they prioritize his development because I liked him a ton out of Arkansas as well. I was very high on Nick Smith Jr. and Kobe Buffkin, two guys that didn't get a lot of runtime this year, but Smith Jr. ended the season on a high note, and he could be a great three-point shooter in between LaMelo Ball and Brandon Miller going forward. I also like Kobe Jones a ton coming out of Xavier as well, so it can really only go up from here. He didn't really play at all in his rookie season. Same with Kobe Brown. I did not love this pick out of Missouri at the end of the first round. He didn't play a ton in his rookie season. Can only go up from here. Brandon Miller. I don't think he's a future MVP candidate, but I think he's going to be a future All-Star. Who knows, though? I think out of anybody in this future All-Star tier, he is the highest ceiling and potential to ever be an MVP one day. I mean, someone that's 6'9", a 3-level scorer, a smooth-looking jumper, and plus defensive potential. He was kind of a perfect pick for Charlotte, and I was always like, take Scoot over Brandon Miller, so hey, hands up. I was wrong on that one. Brandon Miller was my third-ranked prospect in this draft, but he has been phenomenal in his rookie year for Charlotte and has such a bright future in there for what was such just like a mess of a season. But it seems like they're trending in a new direction. They're going to have a new coach, hopefully a new general manager. They moved on from PJ Washington, Gordon Hayward, and Terry Rozier, and they're going to have LaMelo back next year and top 10 pick as well. Jarace Walker. Ah, man, could be better, could be worse. Actually, to be honest with you, I think it can only go up from here. Like, he just didn't really play at all this year. Rick Carlisle did a terrible job prioritizing Walker's development. On January 18th, Walker had the best game of his season for the Pacers. He had 15 points, shot 46% from the field, 38% from three. Guess how many minutes Carlisle decided to play him the next night? 0. 0 minutes. Whenever Walker showed any sign of development and life in his rookie year, he just never had that consistent playing time, which is just so detrimental. To their development, man. It was terrible, and they traded for Pascal Siakam, so Walker was never going to have like that ample running time in his rookie season, but it was a big disappointment for, I thought, was one of the more NBA-ready big men later in that first round, or at least in that top 10. Like, he was definitely more ready than Taylor Hendricks, in my opinion, and definitely more ready than Bilal Coulibaly, so it was very upsetting to see. Victor Wembanyama, yeah, this is the future MVP guy. Probably the only guy here that I think can win an MVP. I think Brandon Miller possibly could, but it's definitely like Wemby is a lone guy in that tier. He had one of the greatest rookie seasons we have ever seen. He's going to finish top 2 in Defensive Player of the Year voting most likely. Is going to be on an all-defensive team as a rookie. Was a top 20 guy in the league this year as a 19-year-old, and he could legitimately be a top 10 guy in the league next year. He could get MVP votes in year number 2. I do think Wemby will be an MVP one day, and he is one of the best players in this league already at such a young age, man. It's kind of crazy. Truly a generational talent. Can't really say the same about Jalen Hood-Schifino. Yeah, was not a great pick. Got hurt this year as well. Can really only go up from here. Olivier Maxence Prosper showed a little bit of life towards the end of the year when the Mavericks were kind of going deeper into the rotation, but didn't really get enough running time. So once again, can only go up from here. I think same with Ryan Rupert. I don't think he exceeded expectations. It could be better, could be worse for sure. I liked him as a top 2nd round pick, and I don't know. Like, if you're seeing him playing decent amount of minutes next year, it's either he really developed or the Blazers didn't really improve their team whatsoever, and they're already kind of like out of the playoff race. So I hope Rupert is more efficient next year. I hope he has a little bit more feel for the game at the NBA level, because I was a fan of him coming over from the international play. Dwight Reith, you are 27 years old. Yeah, you're not really a real rookie at this point, but you know what? It was kind of a fun watch this year at times. He was chucking threes at one point, but actually it looks like he could be a real legitimate rotational piece in this league. Ricky Council, honestly, I don't know if he exceeded expectations, but I think I'm going to throw him in that tier. He was a fun watch this year. I think he's similar to like Andre Jackson. He had some good shot making ability, similar to like Jackson having like good defensive potential in his first year. I don't know. Council is a fun watch, and I think he's going to be a rotational piece for most of his career. Julian Strather can probably only go up from here. Just kind of looked lost out there at times, which I thought he was a little bit more NBA ready coming in at Gonzaga. So that was kind of weird to see, and the shot just wasn't falling whatsoever. Chris Murray, man, it's kind of scary because he's already 23 years old and he wasn't good, and his 3-point shot, what he was known for out of Iowa, was not falling this year. So he's going to go in this bottom tier. Julian Phillips was a fun watch. I don't think the stats are enough to probably be in the exceeded expectations. Could be better, could be a lot worse, but he was like, showed good defensive potential in my opinion, and is super athletic as well. I thought Jaylen Wilson was fine for like a mid-second round pick to late second round pick that didn't really expect like to do anything this year, and the Nets weren't great, and you know what? He was healthy, he was out there. I'm gonna put in exceeded expectations for Jaylen Wilson, the former Jayhawk. I loved Maxwell Lewis a ton at Pepperdine, like a true 3-level scorer. I thought was a phenomenal pick for the Lakers. It's sad to see that. Like, it was not a good class for them with Hood-Schifino and Maxwell Lewis. For Micic, yeah, you're 30 years old, but it was a little bit better in Charlotte and should be a fun rotational point guard next year. And for Sasha Vezenkov, you are 28 years old, but he had some threes as well. So yeah, that is my 2024 season rookie tier list. We got Wemby at the top as a future MVP, Brandon Miller, Chet Holmgren, Scoot Henderson, and Amen Thompson as future All-Stars. If you wanted to drop Amen or add in a Sor, I am okay with that. And I don't know, like, I don't think like MVP is such a high standard. I don't think I could put Miller there and it would be kind of unfair. Bunch of guys in bright future, bunch of guys exceeded expectations. These are going to be kind of like mid to late first round picks or second round picks as well. Could be better, could be worse tier. Can really only go from here, and a couple older rookies that we had this season. So yeah, that is going to be for me. I hope you guys did enjoy. Drop a thumbs up if you did enjoy, and let me know in the comments what you agree with or disagree with. On Friday, you guys will get my playoff prediction video, and I did make play-in tournament predictions on my podcast called Just Ball, and link in the description to YouTube, Spotify, Apple Podcasts. I'd appreciate it if you checked it out, and I'll catch you guys in the next one. Peace.